Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Unpopular Review, Monday Night Raw edition. I am one of your hosts, the executive consultant, joined, of course, by my tag team partner, Evil Dose. Evil Dose, how we doing this Monday night?
Sup, everyone. Executive consultant, may I call you by your Christian name for a moment?
Of course.
Christopher. Raw tonight was hot, and it's been pretty good the last 3 weeks. I don't think this is a coincidence. I think they're stepping up their game because UPR is back reviewing Raw, and tonight was hot because they know tonight is going to be our hottest show, our second show together working consecutively. And last week we saw more than a 20% increase from the week before, and this week we're going to just be going off the charts. And I want to thank everyone out there for listening and watching and telling other people whatever you're doing. And I also want to thank whoever booked and agented and produced Raw tonight, because this was the best Raw I can remember in a long time.
I definitely think it was the best Raw all year. I know the year technically just started, but we're in the middle of February, about to be in March. They've had enough to you could say that now, I think, at this point. Definitely the best Raw, I think, of the year. Anaheim was hot tonight.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you what other notes you have going on before we break it down, so to speak?
Well, never rains in Southern California, but R-Truth didn't get the memo, and apparently the Bloodline didn't get the memo that they're not allowed on both shows, even though they were asked to leave. I guess they didn't, but that's not a prediction. That's a bit of a spoiler.
Yeah, they were definitely made their presence felt tonight in Anaheim, but let's go ahead and break it down. Monday Night Raw started much like last week. Did not start with an in-ring promo. Did not start with any talking. It started with Drew McIntyre coming in the ring and having a match with Cody Rhodes, in a match that, in my personal opinion, should have been a main event match at WrestleMania, with Seth Rollins being injured. He shouldn't hold on to that title. It was Cody with CM Punk being injured as well. I think this would have been a good night one main event. But let me tell you something. These two went out there and had a fantastic match. Even those your thoughts?
Yeet. Yeah, this was great. This was terrific. They open up at 8:00 because this is when the audience tunes in. I'm like, wow, they knew if they kept this on till the end of the night that the audience, no matter what you put on, is going to be less. And this is the A story on the A show. So, or what once was the A show. So this was great. I mean, the match was great, back and forth. They both got their shit in. It looked good. It looked like they were trying. They took it seriously. And in the end, Jimmy Uso comes out and Cody sees him and he's ready for him. But what he didn't figure out, I mean, nobody can see past the disguise of a black hoodie. That is absolute camouflage. It's like the stealth bomber. It's like the B-52. It's like the Firefox. Solo Sikoa gives him a spike to his neck. Drew McIntyre's looking Bloodline. I remember this. I remember how this goes. Oh, wait, they're not after me this time. Hits him with the Claymore kick, takes advantage, looks a little bit conflicted about it, but not so much. And Cody takes a pin, on the road to WrestleMania. Everyone's like, why does your number one contender take a pin? Because he's the number one contender, because the Royal Rumble, because he can, and this was interesting, and no one expects him to take a pin. And it's protected because the Bloodline Mishigash, which is Yiddish for craziness.
I've never known that. You've made me learn something new. Yeet! I got to say it again. This match was phenomenal. These two went out there and they had a great match, and I expected to. I always give all the credit in the world to Drew McIntyre. I think he's a great in-ring performer. Cody Rhodes is also a fantastic in-ring performer. I think it was apropos with what's his face? Solo Sikoa coming out there wearing the hoodie like he seems like doing when he's interrupting. Actually, all the members of Bloodline like to do when they're interrupting the match. And just Drew McIntyre telling a great story by, do I want to? Do I not want to? Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to kick your head in. And it's nice to see Cody Rhodes take an L. In my opinion, I don't think he takes enough. But I know they try to make him the number one babyface in the company. But to a certain extent, not completely, because I understand the difference between a clean and a dirty. He took a clean L in the middle of the ring, and I respect that more. So And it builds Drew McIntyre up because Drew McIntyre is definitely turning into that guy again. I have a lot of respect for Drew and a lot of respect for Cody Rhodes in this particular match. But great match, a great way to open up Monday Night Raw, in my opinion.
Awesome way. First half hour was this. I mean, this took us to the half hour point, and the entrances were not exaggerated. They were not prolonged, torturous. It's not just that they didn't start with a promo in the ring, but they didn't have the prolonged entrances. You know, there wasn't the standing in one place for 30 seconds to wait for the pyro and do everyone go whoa, whoa. I mean, you know, it was a normal entrance. I dare say, I hate to say it this way, but closer to what AEW does with less nonsense, more action. And, you know, I don't know if that's because there's the new production team and they're trying to get the flow to be a little faster. I don't know if this is related to Netflix and a lack of commercials or different formats for commercials, but whatever it is, works for me. Like I said at the top of the show and interrupting you a few times during pauses, yeet.
You know what? I definitely did feel a bit of a different feel. I see where they're trying to experiment different things to do. I mentioned this last night when we did the SmackDown show. I'll say it again tonight. Raw and sold out anyhow. So let's give them credit. It was sold out again. A lot of crowd shots.
84 people.
A lot of crowd shots. You know, there was one time where they actually showed the camera side. Like they were really proud of the fact that, hey, look, I just read a statistic. They are doing the best attendance they've done since the Attitude Era. Yeah. It's amazing to me to see them doing so well. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Rhodes was backstage. Adam Pearce said, hey, I got rid of them. You know, I kicked them out. They're not going to come back.
Oh, you knew that was a lie. Adam Pearce is always wrong.
They want to do it. It was a nice thing because also trying to throw you off to make it not look like they're coming back. Seth Rollins back there didn't say a word.
No, he did. It was just, you know, he's wearing his sheer fabric, very macho, cravat tied woman's blouse with white polka dots. Just looking at Cody like, I warned you, I offered you my assistance, and Cody just looks at me, it's just like, yep. But neither one of them said the words, but you heard exactly what they said. And I like that WWE is doing things like this more. What do you mean, Jeff? They don't do things like this more. I mean, like the subtitles from Nakamura, and they did some for Andrade, and they did some for Damage Control on SmackDown. They're doing more things where they're allowing people to communicate through other than just canned promos, looking sideways at a TV or whatever. And it has a much more real feel. And it's everybody knew exactly what was going through their minds, and it was perfect. I don't give Seth Rollins a lot of credit for a lot of things, but he was fine. He was perfect here. Not fine. He was perfect here, except for his outfit was ridiculous. But, you know, in fairness to me, he didn't say anything, which always improves Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought it was great. I thought it was done very well. Z Silence says Seth gave Cody that same tap that Triple H did when he tried to give advice to Cody, and Cody declined and said he got. That's true. I remember that very well. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Seth was the prodigy. You know, Triple H even gave him the pedigree at one point.
Mm-hmm. Elimination Chamber qualifying match. There was a lot of women in this match. I can't name every single woman that was in this match, but from Raw and SmackDown, returning Raquel Rodriguez, who I did not hear anything about. I knew she was injured, but I did not hear anything about her.
She wasn't injured. She had an illness, and it was like it caused hives. It's like a autoimmune deficiency that caused basically like a body rash. So I guess she just had to go on the right cocktail of drugs or drug, and she was on it long enough that it got rid of it. It you know, it didn't really prevent her from doing anything. She just looked terrible. It's just like full body eczema. So I didn't hear anything about her coming in, but I wasn't surprised. I think that we might have even talked about at some point that she might be, you know, who knows, she might be returning and be in the Elimination Chamber. But that wasn't a prediction. It was just like it was just a guess. But and it happened. But look, anybody who knows me for any appreciable amount of time with regards to wrestling knows I love battle royals, and I love this battle royal. And I thought
this battle royal was done very, very well.
Yes, I thought it was fantastic.
I mean, Raquel looked fantastic. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, who they still wanted to do something with Zoe and who gets no reaction, and Shayna Baszler, who is not on the same level she was when she was in NXT. Let's just be real. But Raquel had a very nice babyface reaction. For someone who struggles, I think, from time to time on the main roster, did very, very well in this match. And also, Zelina Vega got a huge reaction out there, and her little sub feud, I'll say, in this match with Elektra Lopez, I thought was done very, very
Elektra
well.
eliminated her, but Elektra made a rookie mistake. There was a lot of this. If I have any nitpick with the Battle Royal, there was a lot of people preening and pouting after not pouting, but gloating
after winning.
Right. And like you could forgive the first person for doing it, but once you saw one person get eliminated right after, you think that you would stop. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the team of Shayna and Zoe were working together as a team, which was great. They had some hot spots for Xia Li. They had more for Ivy Nile, who they made look great, who is great. Chelsea Green was fantastic, as she always was, and she tried to do it, sneak it. I was so hoping she'd be in, because she's just hysterical. But she'd be like my Dominic entry for Elimination Chamber.
I didn't want to see her in
there. I just think that she's great. But no, the women's Elimination Chamber is not completely all stars to the level of the men's is, but Raquel definitely makes it more of a big match.
It makes it more credible. She's going to go in there. She's going to create a lot of destruction. That's what she's going to be in there for, and she's going to do it very well. I think we both agree on who's going to win, but she's going to do well. Sorry?
Yeah. Confession. The way they had Raquel perform tonight in this Battle Royal, that's sort of what they
thought. That's how she should.
Yeah, but that's what I thought they were going to do with Jade Cargill at Royal Rumble. I thought
it's a possibility. If the rumors are true and Jade was actually supposed to be in this Elimination Chamber, she could be doing the spots. Kind of like they said when Braun came over to go for Brock, they did all the spots that Braun was going to do. That Brock was going to do. Mm-hmm. It could have been that. So we have to see. But I think Raquel Zealous being in there was a good choice. I did like the Chelsea Green switch up at the end. The crowd was hot for her at the end because the match was done very, very well. I also have to give a little notice to Maxine Dupree, who got a good reaction. And when I mean good, I mean when she was thrown out, the fans seemed to be upset. I don't know why, but everybody likes looking, in my opinion, to Maxine Dupree. She's a very attractive woman. Let's just be real. But her wrestling skills,
but she doesn't need to be my taste.
Speaking of women, let's talk about the Women's World Championship and the sit-down interview.
I don't want to finish just yet.
Go ahead. Good. By all means, go ahead.
Because, you listen, Vince Russo gets a lot of derision, probably for a lot of good reasons. But what Vince Russo always said is write a story for everyone. And in here, we saw stories for everyone. So, they followed up on the Natty Tegan thing where partner eliminated partner. Tried to repeat it, and Natty was ready for it. So you have a little bit, that team's, it hasn't been exactly cooking.
Casey Catanzaro.
Right, exactly. Casey Catanzaro. Her partner wasn't there for whatever reason, but the Unholy Union they worked together well for a while, so they look like a team again.
Also, Hala, she doesn't really have a story, but they did mention the antlers thing. So she had a little bit of shine because of that. So hey, you said it completely correct. They did a fantastic job there.
Yeah, I love the whole thing. I mean, this took us basically to minute 56, and at that point, I give Raw Hour 1 an A+.
I can't deny it. That was a very strong grade, but I can see why you would make that grade. It was done. It was done very well.
The strongest grade I could give.
Women's World Championship sit-down interview talk with Nia Jackson, Rhea Ripley. I haven't seen them do one of these in a while. I thought it was very intense. I thought Rhea pretty much pissed off Nia. We'll talk more about Nia a little bit later and what the reaction of that pissed off was, and which is a segment I can't wait to talk about. But what do you think of the effectiveness between Rhea Ripley and Nia Jackson this sit-down interview?
I liked it. I liked that they did the backstage stuff, and that it was clearly these two women, when they're near each other, they start fighting, and of course the spot later on was for Nia to do fighting and not for Rhea Ripley, and to they didn't want to make either one of them look vulnerable going into this match. So I think it did what it needed to do, and it was a nice little change of pace. Hello, Charmaine. Are you talking to me? You're talking to the executive. You know what? It doesn't even matter because we're a team right now. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter who you're talking to. At least not to me. So anyway, I can't be host of the year because I just started. But yeah, I thought this was very effective. I think it was a nice little palate cleanser because it was a change of pace. And that's the key with the 3-hour show, is to give us things that are a change of pace. So you have your long wrestling match with a little bit of shenanigans. You have your battle royal, which isn't like a 10-minute battle royal, and it's entertaining the whole time through, with little stories going through it, and people given a chance to get a little shine, even though they're not going to win. And then you have this. You changed it to, you got your big fight coming up, and you want to give it a big fight feel, and you have your backstage interview. So again, listen, do I think this was the greatest interview I've ever seen? No, but it was good.
Yeah, I agree. It just was impactful. It did not. You can't have them just go out there and beat each other up every single week. So I see why they've been trying to keep them apart a little bit. Save it for the Elimination Chamber where they can tear each other apart. Looking forward to it. So could I have missed it? Yeah, but do I see why they had to go that route? I definitely see it. But speaking of interviews, the next thing we're going to talk about after our commercial break is possibly one of the greatest interviews I've ever seen, and that is a pre-taped interview with one Jackie Redmond and R-Truth. We're going to take a commercial break. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review. Even those your thoughts before some problems came out.
The rated beyond our superstar Danny Garcia versus the formerly rated our superstar, the AARP rated superstar Adam Copeland.
So tell us about it then.
Boring as shit. Ed was supposed to win, but the bad guys of also Nick Wayne and Mrs. Shayna Wayne came in with Luchasaurus and beat up Edge. They beat up Danny Garcia, so he couldn't help Edge. I thought this match was rather meaningless, and I'm not really understanding why they're putting Daniel Garcia into the TNT title when all anybody wants to see is Christian versus Edge. And Daniel Garcia, they force him down ropes more than anyone that's not named Orange Cassidy.
Well, let me back up here, and you don't understand why they put Daniel Garcia in the picture, because it's the Copeland Cup. Copeland is trying to prove himself again, so the show that he's the number one contender for the TNT title. So that's why Daniel Garcia is with him. And I don't understand when you say boring. Like, you got a guy that's in his 50s, okay? He's taking, just like Singh, he's in his 60s. They're both taking top rope bumps onto the mat. They're diving off out of the ring like they're 20 years old. I mean, Daniel Garcia is so underrated. I mean, I can't name a shitty Daniel Garcia match, because I feel like every time he goes in there, he puts on 110% in there, and he's so underrated. I mean, the guy, he should be a TNT champion. I mean, if you don't think Daniel Garcia's, I mean, let's put it this way: how many times have you seen Jeff Hardy or Matt Hardy matches, and they're completely shit? This is nowhere near that.
Sting versus Jeff Hardy?
No, I mean, I'm not going to. What do you mean?
He was drunk.
Oh,
Jeff Hardy was drunk trying to defend the title.
He's always drunk, but what I'm trying to tell you is that this match is not that bad.
Way to defend with your statement there, Vinny. That is from the AEW Dynamite show each and every single Wednesday.
Vinny's interpretation is, if somebody who takes a lot of bumps, it can't be boring. So, Vinny, I would like you to subscribe to Superhuman's channel, because all he does is take bumps and give you 110% and put his body on the line. So welcome to your life of entertainment endlessly.
Every single Wednesday, immediately after AEW Dynamite, join Vinny Laspada and Dan the Man for AEW Dynamite. Let's go ahead and talk about more hilarity, but this time with R-Truth, who was telling his story of his breakup with Judgment Day and how he's teamed up with DX to try to find Nick Mysterio because they could not keep him in hiding. This was comedic gold. I swear this is one of the funniest things ever. And I didn't even laugh hard enough to cry, but it's still one of the funniest things I've ever seen on Monday Night Raw. It was I can't say enough good things about it, even though it's your thoughts.
Listen, I laughed, I cried, I loved the whole thing. This pulled at my heartstrings, told the whole epic story. Jackie Redmond looking so concerned, maybe more for R-Truth's sanity than
the music in the background.
Emotions. Yes, the sad music. This was lovely. This was just, I really think that R-Truth produces his own stuff or writes it, and he's great. And people are saying this is old and tired, but they give us things like what. Even as a baby, I always knew I wanted to be in the Judgment Day, and they give us this. So everything gets stale from time to time. And yes, this is coming to an end at some point, but this was great. This is terrific. And it is at an end. He's back with The Miz, who sometimes he thinks is Kevin Owens. Surprised he didn't tell The Miz, like, when did you shave your beard off? But yeah, I'm him thinking that they're DX and the chyrons on these saying, not Shawn Michaels, not Triple H. I mean, it's all terrific. And listen, if you're going to insist on putting DIY on the screen and try to get them over, there's nobody better to put them with than R-Truth. If it doesn't work with him, there's I mean,
that's not going to work. Period.
Yeah, maybe you should just give Mandy Rose $55,000 on OnlyFans just to come out naked with them, and then maybe that'll work.
Eight-man tag match next is going to be Awesome Truth and DIY versus the Judgment Day. This is another match I thought was a really fun and well put together match between these 8 individuals. R-Truth is amazing what he's able to do as somebody north of 50 in that ring, still able to go. I think it was the right call to have the Judgment Day win and him to take the pin, but still, I enjoyed this match thoroughly. Thought it was very good. I thought the Judgment Day looked very good. What is going on with the Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley, though? Why are they trying to keep these 2 entities separate so badly?
She's a star individually. They need each other to get there. I don't know, but the mini story here was definitely mostly Priest versus Truth. But I mean, the person who shined the most was Ciampa, who, you know, out of DIY, Ciampa is by far the more interesting wrestler. That he looks like a wrestler. He's not as small. He's small, but he's the same size as Finn and JD McDonough, and you know where Ciampa is, you know, smaller than Brian Danielson, Daniel Bryan, whatever you want to call him, the American Dragon by any name. But yeah, this match was well choreographed. They all worked really well. There were a lot of near falls. It was very good. I mean, Priest insists on trying to do the choke slam like he's the big show too many times, but he finally hit it. What's he called it? The Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, there you go.
Something
choke slam to heaven or something like that. I don't know. Stairway to Heaven. Something. I don't know. But South of Heaven is what he called it. South of Heaven. You're absolutely right.
So, you know, but this was good, and Ciampa looked good. I mean, you know, Miz did his part, but I think that Ciampa was really the standout. If aside from R-Truth, who was really the standout, and he can still. Pat McAfee said, R-Truth is magic, and he is. Like Samuel L. Jackson said it in the Marvels, black girl magic, except R-Truth's not a girl.
It's definitely, he's not a girl. She's not a girl. He's not a girl. Golly, even those. I will say that. Shout out to Pat McAfee, who made a really interesting call, funny comment, where there was a double crossbody between Ciampa and Finn Balor. He said there was like 16 packs of abs in the ring. So it was a funny call. So I want to give him credit for that one. UFC star Michael Chandler was there to yell, to scream, and to call out one Conor McGregor. Even those, do you watch UFC?
I do not. I'm aware of who Conor McGregor is. Obviously, I am not aware of who Michael Chandler is. But the interesting thing here is that TKO signed a 5-year deal with what's it called, Obvive for live events. And one of their venues is there in Anaheim. And as I said, when this merger was going through, when like people were saying they're going to have Matt Riddle fight Conor McGregor, I'm like, no, they're not going to do that. But they are going to rent the same facility on the same weekends and have 4-day weekends and share the expenses and cross promote. They will have, you know, UFC fighters on Raw, you know, making challenges and doing promos and showing up, and likely have, you know, WWE superstars highlighted at UFC to cross promote, and then they'll probably have you know Comic-Con type events together, meet the stars kind of thing where they're sharing event space, and that sounds like exactly what's done, and we saw it, and
exactly what you thought was going to happen when they merged,
right? Which these are the synergy. These are synergies that they were talking about. When WWE rents a city for 4 or 5 nights in a row, that's expensive. But when you share the cost with UFC and they're hosting live events too, you've now divided the cost between 2 separate divisions, and you've probably increased your fan base by, I don't know what the overlap is between WWE and UFC. I suspect there's a lot more WWE fans that watch UFC than the reverse, but it doesn't matter. Even if it's a net 22%, that's still 22%. Who doesn't want 22% growth in their business? And I totally pulling that percentage out of my whatever orifice you want to use. Or, you know, if you're Pat McAfee, you're going to make another take a dump joke, because that's my one gripe with Pat McAfee is that like he keeps going to the shit jokes, and stop using shit jokes, especially now.
I am excited for this. They've been talking about doing this for a while. I'm also excited over the cross promotion they're doing with UFC and WWE. I've been looking forward to this ever since they merged. I think it's just good. As you said, I think it's just good business for both companies. It's going to work. I mean, hey, both of these companies combined equal a $21 billion company. That is a juggernaut right now. So it's interesting to see. I wasn't too big a fan of this. I thought it was a little overdone, personally, by Michael Chandler, who pretty much snatched the microphone out of Samantha Irvin's hands, if you ask me. But still, it was exciting. He apparently took his shirt off, and right. Pat McAfee wanted them to put it on camera, and they said, "We ain't doing that."
And apparently they had there was a rodeo kid in the back, so that was an interesting little cross reference. Obviously appealing to another perhaps
18-year-old. Yeah, they mentioned it later.
Yes, they did. And what Brandon Thurston observed, I'm not sure he's correct or not from WrestleNomics, was that two of the TKO executives, including one of their chief legal officers, was apparently sitting in the front row or in the second row as well, behind the commentary guys. So TKO had a presence there too. So I don't know if they own that
and
rodeo
Netflix
league as well. What's that?
That's possible. I say and Netflix.
Yeah. So I don't know if they own that rodeo league or if that's something that they're, I mean, that's probably a fairly inexpensive property to bring in for, but there's an audience for it. I've gone to one rodeo. That's enough for me. But, but if my kids were still little, would I take them to a rodeo again? Yeah. But, I've been to one of myself on a business trip where we had to go because that's where the client took us, and one with the kids. They're fun. They're silly, but there are people who love that stuff. And bulls are scary. They really are scary, strong beasts.
That's why I've never been. But hey, to each their own. Next segment we're going to talk about was actually my favorite segment of the night.
Ooh, okay.
Becky Lynch comes out there, says a whole bunch of her normal stuff, including talking about her hat.
Mm-hmm.
Out comes Liv Morgan, who everybody knows I'm not the biggest Liv Morgan fan. I thought she did a fine promo work, even though she stuttered a few times, but she's been gone for a while. I can forgive her for that. Highlighting the fact that she was the last person to beat Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley was also the reason why she was injured and on the shelf for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Fire promo made you say, hey, I hate to use this overly used phrase, but where's my story going to be finished?
Mm-hmm.
My story of Rhea Ripley. Followed by Raquel Rodriguez, who was just victorious. And is still getting that good big pop that she had because she won that match. She looks very excited to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Good promo by Raquel Rodriguez.
I wouldn't exactly say it was good. The words she's saying make sense. It's just, I don't know. I just wish she could be more of herself. She just feels like she's still too robotic. If she just came out like not just like a badass. You don't have to be a badass with a bad attitude. But you can be like Bianca Belair gets it sometimes, most of the time, where she's a badass, but she's still good.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, Raquel will get there eventually. I'm not going to say she's going to have her Austin 316 moment, but at some point something will click. It does for most performers. And, in fairness, I'm not sure NXT Black and Gold, which everybody loves, taught people how to be characters. They taught them how to be wrestlers. But the contrast you could see with Tiffany Stratton, who came out, I think, next. She was
next one to be called, and she did a great job. She was in there with 2 former women's champions and possibly a future women's champion, and she looked like she belonged. And she's been on the main roster for 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. Fantastic job by one Tiffany Stratton, who was controlling that crowd in that ring. They hated her already. For a main roster person to look at somebody who just came fresh out of NXT, when I always say the people who go to a main roster, Raw or SmackDown, most of the time, 75% of them don't know who NXT people are.
Right?
They don't. She's made a point already, and like I said, she looks like she belongs.
Right. Well, when she comes out, if you don't know who she is, you go back and you look.
It's Tiffy time.
It's Tiffy time, and she's at the Tiffy top. I mean, Tiffany. The first time I saw, I'm like, this is like what the perfect combination of Carmella and Charlotte could be, and she's living up to that. I mean, she's only been wrestling for 3 years, and she spent 10 months of that injured. So, I mean, her ascension has been nothing short of remarkable, except they seem to be doing it with other people as well in NXT, which means it's may not be considered remarkable in 3 or 4 years, but for now it's remarkable. And in NXT 2.0, much derided, they teach you how to wrestle and how to be a character. And I think that is the difference between a Raquel Rodriguez, who should have it all, and a Tiffany. Now, some people have it naturally, like Rhea Ripley, but she didn't always. For a while, she was like when Edge and Christian came up, they were robotic as hell at first. So Gangrel had to do the speaking, but nobody can say that about
Rhea. Was uncomfortable being a baby face when she first arrived. She's always was more comfortable being a heel. And even when she was a heel,
Australians they have good hearts, but they're nasty to speak to.
Indy Hartwell is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, you're right. She's probably an exception.
Naomi came out next. Naomi, another big reaction for Naomi, came out, said what she had to say. Said, "Hey, look, I made a name for myself outside and inside WWE." Mm-hmm. Thought it was a nice little subtle hint of, "Hey, I was in TNA. I did something, right? Leave me alone." Right. Bianca Belair come out here looking fantastic, hot, and sexy all at the same time.
Calm down, Sanderson.
I can't calm down when I'm thinking about Bianca Belair. She was hot, but she came out to a promo that I thought was almost heelish for her babyface self. But I thought what she said was very impactful, very true. And I love the fact that she came out and said, even though she got interrupted, undefeated. Because that's what made me really realize that she was a star, is what she was going around saying. Undefeated. This leads to Tiffy hitting Liv Morgan in a brawl ensued between these 6 women. Who comes out? One Nia Jax, who squashes all 6 women. And I'm not talking about 6 jobbers like Xia Li, and I'm a big Xia Li fan, by the way. But, Alba Fire, these are 6 big-time women, give or take. And she went out there and squashed all of them, making her look so strong. And while she's doing this, I said this again, and I know I'm just pleading to my own ego when I say this. This woman deserves to have a women's title match at WrestleMania. I feel like she's doing such a fantastic job.
She was absolutely a General Skandar Akbar one-woman gang, not the one-man gang or Hakeem that we saw in WWF. The UWF and Territories one-man gang. She was a one-woman gang. She was a one-woman army. And she squashed them all. And this is all to make you believe that she is going to defeat, right, that she has a chance, which I don't think that she does. But, all you need to believe is that she does. And and by the way, every now and then they do surprise you. I don't think it's going to be this time.
They do. I seriously doubt it's going to be this time. And obviously, the money match, the match they're going is Rhea and Becky, but I just feel like Nia deserves. I mean, she does it so well, and it's so believable that she went out there and just crushed everybody.
She did easily. It was almost too easy.
It was. That's my point. And we're talking about 6 women, including names like Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. That is impressive, So
especially Becky Lynch, because she was the one who was trying to stand up to her to get her second win, but her second win was. It was useless. She just ended up. She got the Hulkster big leg, at least twice.
Nia Jax did her thing, and I definitely did appreciate that.
It was funny because Rodriguez says she's the only one big enough and strong enough to go against Nia Jax or Rhea Ripley. Well, I guess not. Double R. That was a double L.
Double R. That's double J. Jeff Jarrett. All right, Chad Gable versus Ivar. That was earlier, and I forgot to mention this. Chad Gable had a promo about how Ivar's been going through with his whole people, but he's going to go out there and do something to Ivar tonight. Ivar said, "I'm going to crush you tonight." Mm-hmm. I've said this for a while now. Ivar, who's been on Raw like almost every week for the past 3 months, right? I think the best thing that's ever happened to him, and this is not saying anything negative about his tag team partner, but him going singles and solo, because ever since that, he's really showcased of how good he actually can be. He's lacking in charisma still. I'm not exactly a fan of that Viking gimmick, but he goes out there and knows how to put on a match. He's that athletic for a big man. I think somebody compared him to Big Van Vader. I'm not necessarily saying I can compare him to Big Van Vader, but I think he is a standout individual. I'm a bigger fan of him than Bronson Reed. I think Ivar can do some things. And Chad Gable is always going to low-key be one of my most underrated wrestler in World Wrestling Entertainment. That man is phenomenal and amazing at the same time. If only he was about 2 or 3 inches taller, he'll be a world champion easily.
Chad Gable's great, and I think what you said about Ivar and the Viking Raiders is fair. I mean, they were a really good tag team in their time, in their place, but it's not really a major league act in the 2020s. It's, you know, in the 80s or 90s, I think they absolutely would have gotten over, more the 80s. But they got over in the indies, and so you know, the assumption is if it gets over in the indies, it's going to get over in the bigs, and half the time you're wrong. Half the time it's just, you know, the remaining 30% it's just okay, and 20% of the time you're right. But yeah, I think he's like the mid card powerhouse. You know, he's, you know, again, probably, you know, so like a big boss man. You could see him going up and down the card, not as prolific as boss man. Boss man had more success, but certainly not Vader level. I'm trying to think of who I mean, even Kamala had a bunch of, you know, world title things. I guess it's just a different time. But this is going to sound really petty, but it's me. So what would anyone expect? His hair needs to go. He needs to shave his head bald. I mean, that stringy grease back hair, he just looks poor. It just looks low class. I mean, Vikings didn't worry about watering their hairs. How they have a berserker style all over the place, like John Nord, the berserker. Get rid of that hair, go bald. And Eric Rowe, I'm sorry, but you know, he probably is better off without you, and at least your wife's employed. But the best thing he can do is keep trying to heal and take a really, really long time to recover on WWE's dime. But shave your head, I think, and get rid of the shield. Nobody cares about the goddamn shield. I think those two things would help his presentation.
Great match. The fans really were behind Chad Gable, but Chad Gable does a good job with that too. Knows how to draw the fans into his match, even if they weren't into it at the beginning. Great job by Chad Gable.
Yeah, Chad Gable was near perfect in this. He was perfect. It was great, and Chad Gable got the win. And hopefully this feud is over. I don't know, but it looks like Valhalla still has issues with Maxine, so probably not entirely. But
not entirely until they end that part.
Maybe that means that Eric is on the mend. It's been a long time since they said 9 months. I mean, it feels like
they said a year, and I think it's only been 6 months.
Okay, all right. So well, I think they oftentimes exaggerate the amount of time it's going to be just to be safe.
So it could be the big surprise.
That would be a big surprise. That would be a real big surprise.
It will still be actually, if anything, it'll be a collective. Oh, he's back. You know, there goes Ivar's push. But they've always tried to push the Viking Raiders. They love them backstage. They've given them so many gimmicks and it don't work since they've been in the main roster. They've been on the main roster for about 4 years now.
I will say that when the giant turkey legs would appear in his hand like Mjolnir Thor's hammer, I mean that was actually pretty funny.
That was their best gimmick since they've been on the main roster.
And
that was Vince trying to give them some charisma.
Right. And when the women were always like looking at Ivar and going, "Ooh,
you're the cute one." You not so much.
Vince loves it when big fat ugly guys are like women can't deny their sex appeal. I mean, let's face it, it's funny. It's because like it's easy to be ugly, but and it's easy to get fat. So and the fatter you get, probably the uglier you get. So I mean, it's every dude's dream to be the big fat guy, but you can still pull Mandy Rose or Catalina Perez or Maxine Dupree.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another commercial break. Actually, our final commercial break, because like Credit One says, 1 match to go. It is for the Intercontinental Championship. When we come back, we're going to talk about it. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review.
But Mensah and Dar was being taken from their locker room to the ring, and you see Lash and Jakara, and they're like, which way did they go? Which way did they go? You see the twins go that way.
I love that every time in TV shows and cartoons where that happens. You're like, which way did they go? That way.
It is so Looney. It is so Looney Tunes. It is so Looney Tunes.
It's a cartoon that you don't like, and I'm not going to say the name because if I do, your blood pressure is going to go through the roof. But
please say it, because I don't even know which one it is. But please say it. Like I promise, my blood pressure will maintain itself.
No, it won't. No, it won't. We had a discussion about how much you don't like the cartoon and how long it's been around and how many movies they've created and how it's still going. So,
how dare you bring up Scooby Doo? It was Scooby Doo. I hate that cartoon. I hate that dog.
Why you didn't say the name?
They call him a Great Dane, and I say, no, you're a great disappointment. Get out of my face, Scooby Doo. Yep. Scooby-Doo has really upset me.
A few moments
But please say it. Like, I promise my blood pressure will maintain itself.
Really?
Wrestling
Again,
Dog.
why do you think I didn't say the name? Because I knew he would act like this. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
That is the NXT commercial with Bad Guy Jack and Wrestling All each and every single Tuesday immediately after NXT. And their special guest tomorrow, which will be none other than Scooby-Doo. That's right. I secured him for the show. So Bad Guy Jack needs to be prepared.
That is fantastic. He might have to eat some special Scooby snacks.
I think so. Monday Night Raw edition. Make sure you like, love, and share this to all your wrestling timelines and groups, and follow us on all social media. I'm the Exec Consultant, joined, of course, by Evil Dose. One match to go, and it is for the Intercontinental Championship match. And once again, I will say it every week that I see this man come out. Jey Uso is super, super over. Shout out to Pat McAfee again by getting on the table and doing that. And then as soon as Gunther looked at him, he stopped with his hands in his air, waving around like he just don't care. But then decided to start and continue to do it again. It was just an amazing atmosphere, amazing feel. Anaheim, favorite crowd of the year so far within the States. I don't know, they had one we saw outside the States this year, but still, just a great atmosphere. They were loving themselves some Jey Uso. They wanted him to win the Intercontinental Championship.
Not Jimmy, not big brother Jimmy. He's always going to be the bigger brother.
We knew that Jimmy Uso was going to probably come out there at the end, but they did a fantastic job of making you almost forget about it. That was the whole setup of, I asked them to leave the building, have them come out so you knew they were there, but kind of make them you forget because like, okay, they're already on. They're not coming back later.
Pierce is so ineffective.
Such a terrible general manager.
Nick Aldis has much more control over his show.
Not only by far, but not only did Jimmy Uso ring the bell, he rang that bell for about 17 minutes before any security came back from his anything. It was really funny, but I like this finish. I like the fact that Jimmy interrupted, which we all knew was going to happen, but still teasing like maybe Jay is going to win. By attacking Jimmy, getting the top rope, doing the Uso splash, reversing of a sleeper hold, doing the Uso splash but missing and rolling up. I mean, I just thought it was very well done. Jimmy coming in and attacking Jay was also great ending, making you excited for. We've been excited for this match for a while. We talked about the Royal Rumble. You would be like Barbara. You did not give it any kind of credit whatsoever.
I just was expecting to be hotter at the Rumble, but this was hot. This is what I was expecting. And this is everyone's been saying Jey Uso was going to defeat Gunther for an Intercontinental belt at WrestleMania, and but everyone knew that the match was going to be Jimmy versus Jey, and they had to get them there somehow. And now this is how they get them there. And it makes sense because Roman, when he gave the big hug to Jimmy, he's basically been saying, I gotta fix everything. I've got to fix everything that Jay broke. He's still sort of blaming Jay. So this is blaming Jay. And we didn't talk about Sami Zayn's promo because it was basically the same as every week, except he acknowledged that. Remember, I was sort of like confused that they added Drew into this mix, and he's like, I'm going to put a pause on that and focus. Now I don't know if that's another diversion or if they just said, yeah, this doesn't make sense to do this right now for either of these guys, because I still think that Sammy's path to WrestleMania for something important, something historic, and a title is Gunther.
It's Gunther. Yeah.
So
Anthony, you mentioned that last week, and I kind of dismissed it, but I see what you're going with this now, and I see that, especially since Brock is gone, and as we thought it might be Braun, and he is now on SmackDown. So. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Sami is going after Gunther. And
he's got no choice. That's the only path that's there. He's got to win some matches.
I mean, Nakamura, if he wins.
Yeah. I mean, Nakamura pointed out in one of the subtitle ones that fighters fight, and Sami, you think you're a contender? I mean, he didn't say it outright, but it's like, aren't you like 0-7 in your last singles matches? And by the way, we didn't talk about Andrade, who had another vignette promo, but this one I thought was the best one of them all. I mean, I still don't know what he's going for. I still don't know if he's a heel or a face, but
he's a face, and I thought he was supposed to debut tonight.
Mm-hmm. Look at that; they have nothing for him yet. I mean, why would they have him debut? Then they had a show that was chock full of action. So, like, they probably, I mean, debuting at the Rumble makes sense, but they probably really, he'll probably do something semi-important. The Raw after Elimination Chamber. First of all, half the roster is going to be exhausted. So to have him maybe open up or have a open up the 9 o'clock hour. I don't know. Maybe he attacks someone or maybe someone attacks him. I don't know. But somebody was saying just because they have subtitle vignettes that Nakamura should go after Andrade. I really don't think that's any reason for a feud.
But I don't be surprised that is going to be one of the first initial feuds for Andrade.
I wouldn't be surprised because Nakamura is basically the hard out enhancement talent for a feud these days. But the fact that they both use subtitles in their promos, although this is the first time Andrade's used subtitles effectively, by the way, I don't think that should be the basis of you. My subtitles are better than your subtitles.
Both of them can speak English though.
I understand, but it's Nakamura is better with the Japanese. It's more menacing. This works. Andrade mixing it in, I thought it was very effective how they mixed it. How he said the scary stuff in Spanish and they translated, and he said his usual stuff in English. I thought the flow of it was better. I just preferred this. It sounded better. It looked better. He looked better. His outfit was cool. I liked the 3 masks. One is like the red skull, except the diamond skull. One is all the black. There was another more traditional lucha. But I like it. It's like, which Andrade are you going to get? And I guess they all symbolize something different or some era of his career. I'm not enough of a wrestling historian to know that. But I think it's fun that he's using Andrade Il Idolo, not Cien Almas. Just because in one of my trademark attorney nerdyisms things is that Andrade actually is applied for Andrade El Idolo when he was in AEW, and he got denied because of Andrade Cien Almas. And they even said, listen, wrestling fans are a very specific audience. They know it's the same guy, and there's no market confusion. They know he works for a different company, and the trademark office still said, nah, too bad. But I'm sure at this point what will happen is WWE will probably, they'll either have some sort of coexistence agreement with him where they get the commissions as long as he works for him, and it's the normal split. And so, he'll own his trademark, but, he won't get more money from it than any other WWE superstar where they own the trademark for the name. But that's just a prediction, and nobody will ever see that contract. But these are things that interest me, and probably nobody else is listening. Yeah, that's what I agree with the Z. The Z and I agree on a lot of things. Now, we don't agree. I mean, we disagree respectfully. It's not like Vinny who gets all upset about things and then uses bad examples.
What grade do you give Monday Night Raw overall?
I'm giving it a freaking A, man. This was I'm giving this show an A, not an A+, because you know what? On a 3-hour television show, I am going to give this an A+, because I can't imagine a 3-hour television, Raw being any better than this. Infer whatever you want into that, but I enjoyed all 3 hours.
And I agree. I didn't think they had a really bad segment all night. I didn't think they really had a bad match the entire night. The show flowed. I thought the audience was on point. I thought the commentators were on point. I think Jackie, you know what? You gave a shout out to Jackie Redmond not too long ago saying that she was one of the greatest backstage interviews WWE ever had. I agree. She has been there a short period of time, and she is a very, very good backstage interview.
I don't want to give short shrift, though, to Kathy Kelly, because nobody wears a dress like she does.
Kathy Kelly is very good, too. I think they have all good backstage interviews right now. I think they're doing very well. I'm not a fan of the SmackDown commentary team, but I'm happy with their commentary and announcing right now. The ring announcers are good. I mean, Samantha Irvin is is the best in the business, in my opinion.
She's fantastic. She's terrific. She's great. She emotes. She can be part of the show. She doesn't have to be part of the show. She's very, very versatile. It's good, and I'm sure at some point they're going to bring it back to Ricochet and Logan Paul with that, because we all want to see that Dragon Ball Z reenacted in the ring. We all want to see that one more time. I don't know what Braun's event Horizon is for a return. I don't know if that's what's going on with Ricochet, but we need not spend too much time on Ricochet because let's face it, he's been a bit of a disappointment most of his career.
Yeah, Samantha Irvin, that's all that matters. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching us here at Monday Night Raw Review Show. Please make sure you follow all of our other channels on Popular, not only just Popular View Wrestling, but on Popular View Entertainment. Join a lot of our subsidiaries with our hosting Big Pop Theory Podcast, See the Superior, Unofficial Camera Woman, Mike Knox Show, plenty of things. Victorious One's podcast,
Hey,
plenty of
we
things.
had
out
AJ
there.
Francis on Top Dollar on tonight.
AJ
So
Francis,
check that out.
AKA Top Dollar, was on the Mike Knox show, which you can watch every single Monday at 6:00 p.m. Tuesdays, NXT immediately after NXT with Bad Guy Jack and Wrestling Doll. Wednesdays, Dan the Man and Vinny the Spotter bring you AEW Dynamite after Dynamite. SmackDown on Saturdays with Z and Vic. And every single Monday night, myself with Evil Dose bring you Monday Night Raw. Bringing it back again. And I forgot to read this. Chris, my mom wants to know, is the karaoke going to be on Saturday? My mom said hi. Charmaine, if you're still with us, let me tell you that karaoke was canceled because I'm not going to be able to go to New York. So we're not doing karaoke. Now.
Oh, my goodness. But you missed your chance to date her mom. This
fine.
chance, anyway.
She means she missed her chance to date me.
Well, you know what? You can always listen. Charmaine's mom, hit me up. I'll give you Chris's digits.
Oh. Todd says pretty good Raw tonight. I thought so too. I thought it was very well done, very smooth. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here before it hits. Well, actually, right on the midnight hour. This is how it should be every single week. But it was a smooth episode. Not a lot to complain about, which is probably why it went quick. Very good show.
Less than an hour, people. A Raw review in less than an hour.
That's how it should be. Go back and watch it again if you're still up for a while. If you're working a graveyard shift, go back and watch this again. And the Mike Knox show from earlier. And the SmackDown show from last night.
Do me a favor, Garden of the Doom and then Hammerlock Hangover and just put it on loop. Just even if you don't listen, just put the volume down. But you
should listen to it. It's a good show.
Yeah, you should listen to both shows. Actually,
to
Hammerlock Hangover, we kicked ass this week. Steve had me going on the CMLL roster and the whole thing. He got me into this thing that was a nightmare for me, but he was cracking the shit up. And apparently, I listened back to it. It actually was funny. And if you want to hear my take on the Vince McMahon stuff, 2 episodes back on Hammerlock Hangover. It's a 3-hour show, and a lot of it's on the Vince stuff. It's not all, so you can skip the other stuff. But you get very lawyerly and very technical and pretty deep dive. So check that stuff out. And Garden of Doom is not legal or wrestling at all. It's completely different. So check that out too. There's definitely stuff that Garden of Doom. It's like a 213 volume encyclopedia of all sorts of weird, wacky, interesting, and wild stuff. And I promise you, there's something for everybody there.
Something for everybody here with all of us here at Unpopular Review. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, UPR Elimination Chamber predictions this Thursday, myself and Dice. So you want to watch that one too. We got a lot going on.
You don't miss that.
We hope you have a good night, a good Monday night, good Tuesday morning. We will see you right here at Unpopular Review. Good night, everybody.
Stay able, my friends.